Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did we get meeting minutes for the March 3rd meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
And has anyone had a chance to review them?
yes, I did.
Okay,
It's a few spelling errors, but other than that, it's acceptable. I'll make a motion.
second. All in favor? Aye. So moved.
I'll let you read them.
I did read it. Now that I remember. Okay, first topic we wanted to talk about was form-based code. And I
Isn't there
guess,
privilege on the floor? I'm sorry.
pardon me?
Isn't there privilege on the floor? Because
Oh, I am sorry. I apologize. Yes, there is privilege of the floor, and thank you for reminding me. I skipped right over it. And
so thank you for 3 minutes.
you, at this meeting, we might give you a little leeway, so don't worry.
So I have 2 items today. One is, I would ask the ordinance committee to look at, again, and when David is running this meeting, before we talked about the short-term rentals, and then we talked into the plan for using that land properly and the attachment of the ADU. And I don't know where that sits right now. I read through the meeting minutes. There's a lot of meeting minutes, but it didn't conclude anything. And I believe I was here last December, was the last time I was here. And it's now April. And we're just, I don't want to use this word because it's wordy, but it hasn't started a process to sort through all that input. There's a lot of input, which is good, right? But it's really important that they have that in the other world that I've been in my life for my whole life is that there are mandatory schedules. And engineers used to come and say, if I can make all this all work, I said, okay, make it work in this time frame. Well, I can't do that. So my point is that I think you need to attach at least a high level schedule, believing that you can get something out of this ADUs by the end of the year or something on that. I'm not saying it's gonna be tomorrow, but I think just there needs to be a generic schedule format process that keeps it moving versus keeping the debate going on and the data coming in and those kind of things. So that's my first comment.
Let's just pause there for a second. And if I'm not mistaken, we're done with ADUs, right?
No.
No, what do we have to do with it?
Well, we presented the proposal for the new code last meeting. And then the committee was going through it line by line and we were making, that's where all the meeting minutes came from. We were going through that. And there were some discussions on changes to the proposal. And then I think we got close to the end, but because of time, we continued it for another day, another meeting. Yes.
So it's
There's
Possible.
there's a proposal already created that the committee just were going through line by line to make sure.
yeah, I understand that. You gotta
Yeah.
make sure it works for as many people as you can at that time. And
So we need to put ADUs on our agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah, not for this meeting, but I know that there's the thoughts were that what might eat up most time this meeting is the manufactured homes. So it was the ADUs on the agenda, if we're able to
Get through
squeeze
it.
that in
Okay,
as well to finish going through that proposal.
thanks. All right. And the second one is the ordinance committee around, I've experienced something personal here. That was the, I wish Chuck was here because he heard this whole story. But there was a reason to have our lot at 4100 on Linda Drive. And so we got through it. They gave us the permit. I was running around the next day and my wife comes to me and says, I want to move the house. Okay. Now this is 12 acre lot. Okay. And I moved it 50 feet on a 12 acre lot. And I don't understand why, one, have to reapply and pay for a new permit after I already gotten the approval for the first permit. And so I just think that there needs to be a line, and David, I talked about that over the years, which is in the AUDs, if you're living on Riley's Run, that's a different opportunity than what a 10 or 15 acre activity going on that could have control of that just yourself. So I just really think there's a need to find it. Sarah's been very helpful to get me back on the rotation here. And, but I just think it's unnecessary. It's kind of overreach, in my opinion.
So be happy to hear then, that we had this discussion several months ago too. And we're still waiting on our site design criteria where we're going to be spelling out, and it's going to go along with the new code for an administrative process for single family dwellings
Right.
that are going to
And then that one you
eliminate those redundancies,
Right.
and the need for things that keep going back to the planning board.
Right,
So
right.
there's a plan for that as well.
And what did you
We
call
had
that? What are we?
the site design criteria. We're waiting on that because we're having language added in that's then going to connect it to a code that we have a draft of, that's going to basically put single family development into an administrative process more so than a planning board.
Is that does a site design criteria need to come before the ordinance committee before we take it to the board, or how is that? Or is
Yes,
it-
we'll get it from MRB. I hate to say it, MRB's been kind of busy with some of the stuff that we've been giving them, so I just talked with Lance. We should be getting the first draft of that within this week, next week. It will come before ordinance. The actual document, site design criteria, similar to the swamp plan that's on the next town board agenda. This is a working document. These are the major changes. Nothing too ordinance wise. It's more of the engineering aspect.
But it does require a code change, or it would if everybody wants to do it, because our town code has a chapter that talks about the planning board having authority over single family homes. So that part would have to be adjusted to make this work.
Yeah, and I wrote a draft of that code way back in
When we
November.
first started talking about it.
Yeah, somewhere around November, but we're waiting on the site design criteria to make that connection. There's still adjustments I need to make to the code based on how it's written up in the site.
Yeah, because the site design criteria has some process discussions in it too, some language, and this is a process, so it impacts both.
So it looks like the wheels are rolling
Yeah, I want to
on
make
that part, and it should be coming to conclusion soon. Because I think there's a flavor to
Yes.
So
clean that up, because you're not the first one we've heard that's had that issue, so
Right.
it's got it rolling.
If you could speak
Yep.
to that.
And
Very well.
the goal is to eliminate that obstacle.
Yeah,
Very similar.
and I think, we meet with John, now about a week before the ordinance committee, we can have before, and, the discussions internally are to not spend too much time on certain things over and over and over again, and to have
to get it to print.
yeah, to get proposals in and certain, and we talk about timelines of when, we can get this proposal in to this ordinance committee, and then again, it just depends on the discussion that takes place on how long it then goes from there. But yeah, there are those discussions internally on keeping timelines and getting things done. So,
So my other last comment would be that, it's not a problem to pay again, $250. But I feel it's overreach again by the board. That's what my personal opinion is.
I think we all agree.
So,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
your-
we all agree.
We all agree.
Yeah, so, okay, so at my hearing, which I have next Monday, the 14th, and then I have to wait until the 13th of May to be heard by the planning board, right? And I can't do anything in a key season. And the plan has been to get this done this year, Another 45-day delay. I'm not saying, I'm not innocent here. I'm not innocent, okay? But the process shouldn't have to add more and then add more cost to it. I don't know what the 250 is for, other than it made it easy to be able to file a new case, right? A new complete file permit stuff. Got a new number, 038, right? From 08 to 038. I just, so I'm gonna ask at that meeting, not, I know you guys are not ordered to do this, but I feel very strongly that, it wasn't a blatant error. My wife came to me and said, she wanted to move it 50 feet, and we're already 60 feet off the property line. They move it 50 more feet away from the property line. It's just, I don't understand why that this is extra work for you guys too. Bottom line, that's what I feel about it. And I hope we're gonna be designing around envelopes, not around distances, envelopes of what's available to that. Let's say the next guy comes in next year and says, I want to put a, this guy 12-acre lot, and I want to put it real close to the property line. But he changes his mind. I don't think, it's envelope time. It's envelope time. It doesn't cause anybody any problem whatsoever. But that's what my head's at on. So, okay, thank you for your time.
If, Tom, go ahead, you go first, but I don't know, just editorially, and you may have been on the board, or you may have. When you were chairman of the planning board, I don't believe single family homes went to the planning board unless there was something odd.
Correct.
And I believe when I was there, the town board decided that all single family homes went to the planning board, and if it fits within an envelope, it was a rubber stamp. I don't know. I think Chuck would be delighted not to have to look at them.
Not to have to look at those.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
just,
and that's the plan.
I'm intimately close to this project, as you probably all know, but, and I just want to mention this because I think you can all relate to this or understand it. So when Greg talks about added cost to the property, so you talk about time is money, right? But people can't relate to that, but I'll give you a real life situation here. We're going to use a product called ICF block on his foundations, which is where you stack these interlocking styrofoam blocks together. And they work as both insulation and the forms. And I bring it up because the tariffs went into effect on April 5th. And the ICF blocks and a lot of our lumber come right from Canada. So immediately, the potential is that the homeowner is going to incur additional cost. And I'm only bringing that one up because it's real life. We can touch it, feel it, and understand it, right? But there's other additional costs that a homeowner experiences when they get delays such as this. So I just want to bring that all up for everybody's information. But to piggyback on that, you'll see that we talked about this a week ago when we were talking about the agenda, but there's a couple of notes down here about erosion, ridgeline and shoreline guidelines. And I bring that up because both of the projects that I'm working on as the contractor, the guidelines came up and reviewed at the planning board level. And in my interpretation, the guidelines are kind of suggestions as to what should be done and shouldn't be done on a property, but they're almost being looked at as though they're ordinances or though that.
Which they're not.
That they're codes, but they are not. You're right, they're guidelines. So I put this down on the agenda because I thought that we should talk about it from the aspect of whether some of these things which are important should be codes rather than a guideline, and some of the things that aren't really, we don't want them to be codes. Maybe they just stay as a guideline and as a
Right,
suggestion.
as a guideline, right?
Right, so, go ahead, I'm sorry, John.
I was gonna say, and then we also talked about getting that added to the agenda for the combined meeting we do with planning boards and all
All of
that.
this
To
would
kind of
be,
redirect those.
Yeah.
those,
all of this, and
uh,
especially
things.
that, things like that to look. And have everybody comfortable with their lane that they're in.
Yeah,
Ridgeline and shoreline guidelines over the years have been debated. You were on the board.
Debated and debated and debated.
You think this one that you came in primarily about was drawn up. That was, everybody finally gave up on it because there are so many different views trying to unite around one central theme, virtually impossible. It's, we should look at it, we should talk about it, but don't be surprised if all we do is talk about it.
Well, and I think the point of adding that to that agenda, is to really just redirect everybody that, you know, this town board's opinion is that these are guidelines and not strict ordinances, and so that should be how the other boards are.
How they should view them if
are
that's
viewed
our
as well.
direction.
And everything comes down from the desires of plan or the town board, and also, you know, in our comprehensive plan, you know, there's things in there that would discount making those strictly, you know, you can't have a White House on the lake. So, yeah, so just, so where Jared, I wrote that down to the point of discussion for that meeting.
Yeah.
How long ago was the comprehensive plan done? Do you know?
2021.
2021?
So time, we're getting to the time and it's something else. It's time to get a
They
refresh. on that.
suggest every 5 to 10 years, so
It's
next
time to
year
get
would
a-
be year 5.
What would the process be for doing that?
We can do it internally. It can be, you can hire somebody to come in.
Yeah.
And review it and present, or you can do it internally like was done last time. And there'd be a committee created that would go through section by section and see what's still relevant and what needs to be updated. You engage public surveys, public input. So let's say there's a section that we really wanted to dig into. Surveys, input, meetings would go out on that section, public would give input, it would be rewritten, recrafted, and then presented to the board for adoption.
So we need a separate,
sidewalk plan that we just did.
Yes.
so we need a separate
Way more
committee to do that, you
intensive.
think?
Yeah.
Way more intensive though.
One meeting, please.
Yeah, it's one, you'd have a separate comp plan committee. The last one had, you were probably part of it. I mean, the last one had probably
Eric
60
ran it.
people. Eric Cooper was there doing that when he was working here. You had this room filled over, you know, multiple times with meetings, with groups.
So
So
we
it was
moved
part of
around
it.
too, we had meetings.
Yeah, there are meetings
Director's place and.
in different, throughout the town as well. So it's a more elaborate process. But within the
Makes
next year, it's something that we should pick sections and start reviewing it to keep it fresh.
It's gotta be complete public process, because that is our legally binding document that says this is how the town board is gonna make decisions.
But as far as the shoreline guidelines or the Ridgeview guidelines or any of that, we don't have to go through that process. That's something we could do with the ordinance committee.
Well, they're, I mean, everything's based on the comprehensive
Yeah.
plan, so they are kind of under the
Guidelines,
umbrella.
unfortunately, are interpretive. Terry.
Yes, they are.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, it's, we've done, whether it's the White House that you can't tell people to paint, not to paint their house white, but they do anyways. You suggest, but you can't legislate. It's, guidelines are.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've made my piece here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And I will, just so publicly, I'm saying to you, great job helping me and Beth, it's okay. But I'm still gonna speak at the meeting on the 14th and again on the 13th of May if required. Is a minimum, not maybe a true for a interpretation, right? That's what it looks like. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You
So you'll be bringing your assistant,
See you, buddy.
Greg?
Bye.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
You sworn secret. Don't worry.
He put his card on like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah,
You know, faster action, bring 4 or 5 more of those grandkids. and they'll-
yeah, he was already out starting.
Go.
Already starting that, forming that thing up.
Trouble with guidelines.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at them differently.
Yep.
That's what we found.
So, first thing on our agenda is an update on the form-based code. Who's taking the lead on that?
You see one of us.
Yeah, well, you got the binder with the tabs in it. We worked on it. We got probably halfway through, more than, a little more than halfway through.
Yeah.
Another thing, we went line by line, taken into, well, Sarah has great notes on all the discussions that were had here. and elsewhere regarding the desired changes. And so we went through, editing on a Word document, each of those changes, and we got about halfway through it. We gotta get to the rest, and then, which we should do in just one more meeting. And then we have to we'll bring a draft here through Word documents first. And then we'll have to discuss how we actually are gonna edit the document. We may have to pay the company to go through.
We're gonna have to pay them to go back and.
Or we have potential some other options, just do it ourselves at no cost, so. But
Yeah, and as we talked about stuff in here or just things we've noticed just working in the development office, I keep adding notes, in here. This is my living document. So it's notes from here, it's notes, just observations of reviewing projects, finding questions that are hard to answer or something that's not addressed. And then, yeah, when we went through it last time, we added more. Some of it's clarification, some of it's dealing with, some of the stuff that we all agree is kind of
What,
silly, like signage and stuff like that, but we're getting through it.
what do you think the timeline is?
Just depends when we can meet.
yeah, unfortunately, with my vacation coming up,
We won't be back till May,
yeah,
so
so
we May to look at it.
we'll meet again first, week in May.
Do you think we'll be ready in May?
When's what?
May
May
5th.
5th. No,
We're likely June.
yeah. June
Yeah,
2nd.
we'll be.
And I only asked because, I just want to make sure we put it on the
Yeah,
proper agenda.
No, I'd say we probably get the draft document done in May to present on the June
Okay,
agenda.
Isn't it just because of our prior discussion? We have made this code.
Right.
So it takes on greater authority. Could we put a little fuzziness in it and just call it, change it from code to guideline? I don't know.
You're killing me.
Create more problems, but it would make it easier for you.
It would make it 100 times worse.
It would make it
Really?
harder.
I cannot enforce a guideline.
Then
ever.
you could make decisions and we wouldn't be doing this.
I wouldn't have any authority to make any decisions if it was a guideline.
Okay, so you need it to
None.
be code.
If it's anything that the town board wants to be followed, it has to be a code. Otherwise, it's hey, you can also do this, but if it's not in code, then they can't, but then they can't do it if it's not in code either.
You know,
They
Chuck is
would
picking
not
up
be able to do
baseball
anything.
bat right now.
Yeah.
Looking for you.
So let me give
Well,
you,
I'm just trying to simplify the process. I'm
Well,
not arguing.
yeah.
with it. A lot of work went in this and a lot of good ideas, but we get hung up on some of the details, which
But I think-
make things crazy.
I
Which
think
is
that's what we're
why
trying to.
we're fixing it.
That's what we're trying to clear up with this is some of the
Right.
detail. We're learning that this is great for a blank canvas, but not great for modifying something existing. One thing we're learning, we're trying to figure that out.
not great for 332 corridor.
Correct, maybe behind a little bit in some of those areas where there's nothing
We're
yet.
not developed yet.
Correct. The other thing we've learned is we had somebody come in and they came in, they want to do a project in form-based code area. They have a perfectly legitimate, great business model. They already have locations in the area. There's something that wasn't allowed in there because it's form-based code. So then we're looking to make that adjustment, so we don't have that proliferate through all of the area.
You don't have to sell it.
No, but what I'm saying is, we're looking at those options, and each time we have that, we come in and we look, and we're like, okay, hey, look, we need to go back and fix that. Because it's like anything, it's like learning to walk.
So many things to fix.
I know, yeah,
Is there anything that's being held up?
Look at Sarah's tabs.
I know.
That really is there.
I know of, we have the car dealership, they've changed their plans now, so they haven't come back yet, but they were They actually were fine with it. They almost completely met it except for a couple things, but then they went back to the drawing board and had a different issue that had nothing to do with our code, just their lot. They just wanted to change. it. So I haven't,
Really,
no, I mean,
go.
Uptown was really the
I mean,
latest.
there were some delays early on, but that, I don't know if that's not all form-based code, but there were some things that we were able to work through. I know there was one dealership who wanted to buy a parcel, but they decided they were scared away from it because of form-based code, and they did not expand to that area. But I think somebody else, that's Palomares land, I think somebody else came in and bought it. So
Yeah.
they were looking at it, talking about it, but then it scared them away.
The form-based code.
Yeah. Because they're a car dealership and it didn't.
Meet
So
their
that's what
needs.
we don't know,
Correct.
what people aren't doing things because of.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I think
Well,
Tom articulated it well, that it was done with good intent, but it made things more difficult.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, we've talked about that before, and I think even at this committee level, we identified a half a dozen things we thought should be modified.
and those are, rather than do a piecemeal, that's why there's like, tabs in there that.
Yeah.
3 different colored pen marks and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, moving on. We don't need to say anything more about that, do we? Okay. Manufactured housing. And, I guess Jared, you're getting ready to leave, so is
Yes.
there anything about manufactured housing that you want to speak to particularly, or?
I just.
I just want to give you your.
Yeah, no, I
opportunity for,
appreciate it. I don't want to shut the door on it throughout the town because we're stuck in the traditional thoughts of manufactured housing.
Sure.
There's so many, it's so different today. It's so modern today. I gave them my away. I kept handing them down. It's so different. Oh, no, I do have them. It's so different. It's so modern. We can't get stuck. And I think some of the concerns about allowing it in different locations is because we're still stuck on the 1970s model, which I don't see. Some of these things are beautiful. And if we want housing that's attainable for people in that 250 to 300,000 range, this might be where we have to, that direction we have to go if that's what we're looking at. Because this is all we're getting. This is what's going to be there.
So, that being said, are there certain areas where we think it is inappropriate to have manufactured housing?
I think
Are you talking about, when we talk about manufactured housing, we're not talking about a trailer, could be talking about an apartment.
Well,
That's it.
If you don't mind, let me just try to answer
Yeah.
that. I believe that's what we tried to identify when we modified the code, was creating requirements that made sure that we were talking about manufactured homes as opposed to a pull behind trailer that just gets set up temporarily. I think when we rewrote the code, we were trying to do it so that these manufactured homes would have an on-site built-in foundation that these had to be put on. So I think the vision was these manufactured homes do come on trailers, but they come in parts. And you take these parts and you assemble them on site, and you.
so I think there's a distinction between that. I mean, if you read what John put together, manufactured homes are built on a permanent chassis, so you're not taking them off that chassis.
Right, you're
You're
building
building them on that chassis remains with that, whatever is you want to call it.
Yes,
What I think you're talking about is a modular, which they pick them off and build them up.
yes,
That to me, build them anywhere you want.
yes.
Yeah.
Modular.
Modular, anywhere you want,
Yeah.
from my standpoint.
Just a quick look, so this is actually just a summary of the document of the New York State document. So I put it in a summary format,
That.
which is actually mostly AI generated to just read that document,
Let's just spend a
summarize it.
couple minutes, because we're just handing this out. Let's just spend a couple minutes looking at this.
There's an
And
extra if anyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get it last
That's
week,
okay.
because I still need to go through it myself and make sure things were correct in there, and to change a few things that were not correct.
Okay, so there's where you got that from, Dave, number 3.
Right,
John, could you send me a copy of that? Written forms?
Yeah.
There's,
you want it electronic.
She wants digital.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I can get on that.
No, that's okay.
But number 4 is what we can do. Which would take away some of the visual concerns.
Yeah, so I said I took that document and I just asked for a summary of it. And then and then I condensed it down to, I went through, condensed it down to really what's relevant to this discussion. It was a much longer summary and then I went through and there were some things that were off that I verified in document and then changed it on here. But again, I just quickly spend most of my days here last week on ARPA fund reporting.
What concerns me most, well, I shouldn't say concerns me, bad adjective, but on the second page, number 3, prohibited actions. It says local governments cannot prohibit manufactured homes entirely from a community or from a district where other single-family dwellings are allowed.
Correct. And that's what brought this whole conversation is because we do. And it's in violation of the law.
See that right there?
well, I think when that was done, though,
That's one of the local guidelines.
the word looked at it the same way. Everything wasn't lumped together.
Right.
Modular and
I get your.
trailer, if you will. I mean, that's the derivation of it originally. It's changed.
Is that on a
now
permanent foundation?
everything is manufactured.
It's on a chassis.
And it comes as everything, but there was a feeling that we don't really want trail very spread around the entire town.
Yeah, so New York
So,
State
how do you-
specifically,
Unless you have one conversation.
sorry, New York State specifically took mobile homes and included it into manufactured home definition for these purposes. For removing it from exclusion or prohibitions in certain zones. So it was an intent by New York State to have make local governments have these discussions and change their code if needed.
I myself, if there is an ability to steer it towards the modular home rather than the mobile home, I would like to see us do that.
But I think we're convoluting things a little bit because here, this is what I mean, I'll pass this around. This is. And you can scroll through these. This is somebody I've met with him multiple times. It's New Vision Development. He's in Florida. He's out of Brighton, but he's developed there. These are manufactured homes because they're built on that chassis style. We're gonna slide it around. But the way they're set on a permanent foundation, or you could put them on a basement. They are built up on they have all the elevations of a stick built. You can put the garage on them. You can do the roof pit so it aligns. You have vinyl siding. You have a brick foundation around if you want. But still, those are mobile homes. But the mobile homes that we think of aren't the same as the one that's on the end of Short Road where I grew up, which is a single wide mobile home that you still see the trailer, you still see the hitch on the end of
Well,
it.
that's the thing,
But
but that, if the intent of the person building that is to have it look like that, that's one thing. But if it's just plunking down
Right.
at 12 by 60,
right,
without any of that, then you have an entirely different look.
Well, and that's what you can.
but we can legislate
You
that.
can legislate that, you just can't
You can
prohibit.
legislate, they have to add a garage, they have to,
Foundation.
I don't think you can do that.
So-
Why do you require a
No.
garage for a single family?
Well, yeah.
You can't put
but, yeah,
criteria on them that you don't for single family
Yeah.
homes, that's what
Yes.
a lot of
You
this
can't
says.
require them to be dressed up. like
Right,
So
no, we
because-
can't, this is.
Well, you can
Your
require,
idea is well taken, I mean.
yeah, it is.
Can I make, may I make?
Please.
Okay. We have rules in our existing town code today that allow someone to place a manufactured home in any residential zoning district in the town of Canandaigua, except the residential Lake District. So right now, we already allow this. The thing we don't allow is for it to be a single wide. It has to be a double wide. It's still a manufactured home in all other definitions. We already require it to have a permanent foundation. So we already do this. The only difference was that we were going to propose to remove the restriction that it not be allowed in residential Lake District because we're not supposed to be doing that. And then also allow them to propose a single wide instead of, forcing the double wide only. So we do get people who come and place manufactured homes in the town already, double wides, and we get them a couple times a year already, and they have to follow all these, the rules about the permanent foundation and so the same kinds of rules are already in existence. They
Yeah.
can't just plunk it down with the trailer.
Driveway.
They can't do that anyway.
Yeah.
We already have that rule in place.
And to elaborate on that, the stipulation with it being a double wide, the reasoning and the intent behind that was because we had within the regulations applicable to all districts, an 1,100 square foot minimum for single family dwellings.
Which has since been reduced.
Reduce that, so now a double wide is still your only option based off that section of code, but I can build a single family stick built smaller.
All right, all that being said, if we all understand that either modular or manufactured have to be on a permanent foundation. And we allow this, what I'm hearing is we allow this in every district besides the RLD. And we can't do that per this note number 3. So do we change the code to say that we include RLD in the district?
I support that.
That was the original.
That was the original code that was brought.
Yeah, that's
Forward.
that was what was proposed in the code that went to the town board. Already.
That we do include these in the RLD.
Correct.
And allow single wides, not just double wides.
On permanent foundation.
Yeah, there was only, I think there was a couple, 1 or 2 people in planning board comments that had an issue with it, and so it was discussed at town board, those issues, and then it was wanted to come back and be refined, but I'm not sure how much more it can be refined unless you're going to set different or new standards across the board for all single family homes. So like you can say, it's gotta have a certain roof pitch to make it look less like a mobile home if it's gonna be a mobile home. But then you gotta have that minimum roof pitch for all single family homes and.
So the gray area is number 4, the first bullet point. We can enforce aesthetic and architectural standards to ensure manufactured homes visually integrated with site built.
Correct. Just has to be across the board. Now you can, because so to Terry's point, because no other site built single family homes are gonna have like a hitch on it, or they are on foundations. That's what's making it fit in. You can do some additionals of skirting. It's got to be a certain skirting material, but then you got to consider that.
But a permanent
Single
foundation
family
eliminates the
homes.
skirting, is that correct? I mean, you're not gonna have skirting.
No,
No,
You still have skirting.
but then you're gonna have, so whatever you decide that's gonna look like, then you gotta know it's it's gonna have to be the same for any house that puts the, you know.
So if you said no
Wow,
exposed
whatever you
trailer
call it.
hitch, no exposed trailer hitch, then no single family home. Stick built could have an exposed trailer hitch.
So let me go back to
Really
permanent
good.
foundation for a second.
Yeah,
I pour a slab. I drive my mobile home onto that and I skirt it up, I'm done.
Yeah, as long as it meets residential.
See, I'm not for that.
As long as what you say, Mike?
What's, so as long as it meets code requirements. So you can do what's called a shallow frost proof, frost resistant foundation, which does not go below the frost depth of 42 inches as we require. With your normal single family homes. So you basically pour out a slab and then you go through. Now, the code does require that it be an insulated space, so not conditioned, but an insulated space. So it's not your tin siding that you would think. It is a skirting that is insulated, it has, you know, foundation vents and everything else. Most times, yeah, you are doing a block foundation because it's easier to go through these, then you can spray foam it, you can put your automatic vents within it and all of that. But yeah, you can do skirting.
So what are we trying to prevent here? What's our concern? Aesthetics? I don't see anybody putting a mobile home or on the Westlake Road. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, probably not.
What if you want a short-term rental?
Don't care.
Well, then they would.
What sane
And they would,
person-
right.
what, did you think it's gonna happen?
So,
What-
But you need to address that in your
And your
short-term rental
RLD,
law.
it's not gonna
somehow.
happen.
right, but
Which might
that's
be
somehow,
before change anyway,
right, it
but
might be due for a change anyway, but if I'm
So
an
that's not-
entity from New York City who has 4 short-term rentals in the town of Canandaigua, and I can increase my revenue by 30% by putting trailers on 4 different sites, why wouldn't I do that?
but you could put a house on 4 different sites.
What's the,
I'm not
yeah,
arguing with that, but I can I can pour a slab and roll those up tomorrow.
so what's the concern? What's your
I
concern?
think that would look awful.
Okay, so it's aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
Yes, aesthetics, which I'm gonna, who enforces that?
Well, we don't,
Aesthetics.
we don't. If
Right.
you own the lot and it meets all zoning,
Right,
Then you're
that's
good to
it,
go.
right.
that's building 101 as far as you own the lot, you're able to do what you want to do with it.
But we tell people what color they can paint their house.
We do not.
We do not.
But we suggest what color they can paint their.
We do
house.
not.
Well, why does everyone say you can't paint a white house?
that was,
Because
that was a discussion that came up at a
shoreline
meeting.
guidelines said you're not supposed to,
But
but everybody
it's a
does.
guideline.
It has come up at
Yes.
planning board.
Absolutely.
Right,
It has been,
there.
it has been suggested, so I've gotta go, but I support it only because of we're not gonna see it. In our RLD.
Economics are gonna.
But for our protection, I support it, but I also know that if we're looking at attainability. And we want houses in that point, we have to be open to different things. And I don't think it's gonna bring a huge part here, because that's different, but. A well done, you won't be able to tell difference between well done
But
manufactured.
who
or a
decides well
modular.
done? That's the problem I have with this. Who decides well
I
done?
mean, I could build a stick built house that looks like crap,
Yep, yes.
and then nobody has any, and that would.
Well, I still have a problem with that, but I
Yeah.
mean, but how do we legislate? that? I don't know that.
Wait, you have a problem with my stick built house?
I do,
It looks
yes.
like-
And I guess,
Wanted to go
and I
there.
guess that's the thing you gotta think about.
I gotta
in
run,
this
see you guys,
situation,
thanks guys.
Is the whole point of this is you
Let
can't,
me know how you make out.
You can't-
It just should be.
just make that
Enforced,
distinction
that's
between
right.
single family and manufactured home anymore. If you're talking about how do we regulate people not putting crappy houses on lots, it's all lumped together. Really, you can do it one way or the other. Somebody can put up a garbage house that's stick built, somebody can roll a garbage house that's manufactured. You can't prevent either one or the other, same as, but people can put up decent houses and decent manufactured homes. So really you gotta, the whole point of this law is you gotta remove that distinction between single family homes and manufactured homes. That's whether right or wrong, whether everybody agrees with it, that's the point of the law, is to remove that distinction and, in their views, discrimination of manufactured homes.
I talked to Nadler about manufacturers homes quite a bit, and there still is some interpretation on it. So I mean, he's not sure that anything would become of that. If we decided we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want till we're sued anyway.
Well, so there's, I guess there could be interpretation based on how you regulate it, but it's pretty clear cut that you cannot prohibit manufactured home in a zoning district that you allow single family homes.
How long have we prohibited them in the RLD? How many years? A long time,
I really don't know.
okay, but
When did
a
we
really long
start-
time.
When did we start zoning?
Exactly. So it's been there a long time, and how many lawsuits have we had? That's zero.
But do you wanna write a law that you can get sued on?
I don't wanna write a law that I could suit on. Maybe I don't wanna write a law.
Well, I also think, so if we gotta bring it back to our legally binding document that the town board makes decisions on is the comprehensive plan. You shouldn't be making decisions in contrary to the comprehensive plan. That is the document that guides this board.
Which
And
so loud and clear talks about affordable housing.
And a
Well,
diversity
that's
of
a-
housing types.
You can't define affordable housing. I mean, that's impossible.
It's not possible. right?
No, but allowing different types of homes.
Yes.
Provides flexibility for homeowners or for landowners.
I want to go back to the earlier discussion that you and Mike were having regarding putting a slab on grade down and rolling a trailer on it and setting it down. You said you could do that.
Absolutely.
So we allow a foundation to be a slab on grade.
By definition, it's a foundation.
By definition, it's a foundation.
Yep.
The slab on grade is.
Yep. It all gets tied in, right?
Right.
So even though it doesn't, the foundation does not go up, you still will have piers, supporting piers. You'll still have tie downs that are providing your updraft and your float away protection.
And is it going to be insulated?
Yes, yeah, by code, it has to be insulated.
2 foot down and 2 foot across?
No, that's where it's a shallow, frost-free.
Just something underneath the slab.
Basically, it does go down. I'd have to, manufactured homes is not my strong suit. I've done 4 of them. It goes down, I want to say 1 foot, and then it goes out 2 feet, completely surrounding the conditioned space. It's insulated with at least R10 rigid foam board, et cetera, et cetera.
So if someone was to do that, it'd have to be a modular type structure to do that. You couldn't, what are you gonna do? You can't roll a trailer out, take the wheels off it, set it on a slab.
That's what they're gonna do.
That's
That's
what they
exactly
already.
I can take you around town and show you 5.
The only exception for now is you
There-
can't,
there
you
is
can't have that
design
hitch
to do
exposed,
so.
correct?
No, you can.
You
So
can't.
let me continue down this lane.
Yeah.
Are they on slab on grades?
Yes,
Are the wheels and the axles exposed?
no,
Is the tongue exposed?
no,
It's fastened with some type of framing that is on the bottom of the modular home. And it is attached to the slab on grade.
yes. Yeah, the chassis gets tied into the slab on grade foundation.
So it looks like a stick built home.
Yeah, I
A
could-
long skinny
I-
house.
I can take you again to at least 5 of them, 4 of them I did in this town. And I can guarantee you, you would not be able to tell the difference.
Could you send the addresses out? Just so we could go look at them.
So I was just gonna say, so if that's
No.
the case, Dave,
Unless you file a FOIL.
if that is the case, what's the objection?
Amen.
I just don't, I wouldn't want that next to me.
You're a
I don't-
NIMBY. That's the dilemma.
What?
You're a NIMBY.
Not in my backyard.
Oh, no, that's true.
That's
That's
an
true.
elitist attitude,
No,
which
It's not elitist. I live on a farm, on farmland all around me. And when someone plunks down a slab down and rolls a trailer up and puts skirting around
What's
it,
the
it's not gonna
likelihood?
be.
What's
it's
the
gonna-
likelihood?
It's gonna be the aesthetic and architectural
We
standards.
shouldn't
However-
legislate for odd.
Your opinion is one, and my opinion
Okay,
is another.
I'm not arguing with you, but
You are
Yeah,
arguing,
you are.
but I don't wanna argue with you, argue with
Okay,
you.
we shouldn't argue.
Okay, now following up on that. They could do that now, per
Yes.
code, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Just that, yeah, double wide, yes.
So,
They can do that.
I wouldn't want either.
But we
But they
already
can-
can.
but they can do it per code right now.
But
But
yes,
So the
but
only
this
thing we're
isn't just me saying this, this is other people that live in the community that say,
Understand.
I don't want this.
Understand. But now, the only issue is, we're saying that they can't do that now in the RLD.
In a single way.
The square footage. So you have 2 issues. One is the exclusion of the RLD.
Yeah,
The other is your square footage.
our square footage now is 720.
Yeah, and you allow that for all stick-built homes, but not
But
for
not
manufactured,
manufactured.
which is.
We can't do that for this.
Yeah.
And we have quite a few too projects right now, that they wanna do single wides.
We've had, I mean, I get calls.
Where in the RLD?
No,
No,
I never get calls for
but
that.
do remember, we do have manufactured homes on the Lake Shore,
Yeah. we do.
Sandy Cove.
Yep.
That entire stretch.
They're grandfathered in to use them, things like that, because they've always been there, or they've been there since before we prohibited it.
So to try to boil it down, I'm hearing two concepts. One is your concept, Dave, where we do nothing and the code remains as is. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
And the other is we modify the code to meet New York State requirements
And your comprehensive plan.
and our comprehensive plan.
so when you say we're following a comprehensive plan, we're following affordable housing? Is that the comprehensive?
No, no, I sent it out.
We aren't, if that's in there, we aren't, because you can't,
Right.
it's impossible.
That's my point.
I mean, it doesn't define it like that, but it
No,
talks,
that-
there's a large section that talks about housing.
So like, for example, Creekview, right?
Affordable to who?
Hold on, but Creekview, they asked for, was it incentive zoning or MUD or
Talking
PUD?
single family homes. Strictly.
100% you can do it.
100% you can do what?
So there was just a study, just hear me out, okay? There was just a pilot program ran in East Rochester, right? They utilized manufactured homes and ICFs. ICFs are a great product. I see them used all around town. On a quarter acre lot, they built houses that were $200,000. Brand new. Turnkey, $200,000, including one. That to me is affordable,
Not subsidized in any way,
not subsidized in any single way.
and the infrastructure was already
Because I
there.
can go through and I can build 20 modular homes
See, that's the other thing.
for a quarter of the cost of it taking to build.
Well, I don't want one of those next to me either, so. You know, 20 modular homes, no, they don't.
No, I'm
They
not,
go buy a place near a trailer park, if I wanted to live.
I'm
like
not
that.
saying that. I'm saying that you can build a modular home though
Sorry.
cheaper than you can in a stick though. You can build a manufacturer,
No question about that. There's no.
because the reason is that they're being built within a factory setting, right? They can still be customized.
I feel that this whole discussion is always back to affordable housing. And affordable is, every house that's ever been built is affordable, it's so much.
Yes.
You make $20 an hour, 40 grand a year. I don't think you can afford a $200,000 house. I don't think you can. $20 an hour is fairly common. I mean, affordable, you get hung up on this affordable housing thing, and you're never gonna win in that, because it's just not possible to make.
Well,
Housing
it may be
affordable to
affordable
everybody.
to the landlord that can rent it to the guy that makes 40 grand a year.
Even there.
But that's $2,000 a month. I mean, that's what rents are for a house.
So how do you feel
Take
about?
that out of the equation, affordable housing is something you can't.
No,
You
we
shouldn't
can't.
use that.
I agree. We shouldn't use the word affordable because it's undefinable.
Can I make
But-
a point that might be
Yes,
helpful?
please.
You know, in the last couple of years, I get phone calls for people who, you know, anytime a vacant piece of land in the town goes for sale, it means we're gonna get phone calls for people who are interested in buying it and building a house. They always wanna know, what can I do? What can't I do? Can I do this? This is my idea. And not every week, not even every month, but maybe a handful of times every year, someone has come to us with an idea like that, and they want to put a single wide manufactured home on it, and I say, you can't. You can put a double wide, it has to be this, you know, size or greater. And, you know, and I do talk about the requirements we have for placement with the, you know, permanent foundation and everything. So if what has happened in the past is still going to be the same trend, you wouldn't get more than a handful a year of people placing a manufactured home in the town, and some of them are going to be double wides. A few of them might be a single wide. It's not, we don't get them often. Last year, maybe we had two. We might have had a couple more if this law as written had gone forward, because someone wanted to build something smaller. It's not, it's a very small percentage of people who want to build houses in a town that want to do this.
Just to,
We're spending
But-
a
but
lot
I
of
do-
time on
Yes, it is.
kind of
But-
unusual exception.
They want to put manufactured homes and some of them want to be able to put something smaller, yes.
so this was the email I sent to, I think, this committee back in February, regarding the section, specific section of the comprehensive plan. It's page 119, 120. The goal to support future residential growth of diverse housing types that make Canada livable for people of all ages, abilities, family sizes, and income levels. And will strive to create a welcoming community through events. That's the measurables were demographic changes, population, age, family size, income, education, number. This one specific number, type, size, and characteristics of housing options. And then 3 of the action steps that are in the comprehensive plan to take, that are specifically related to this code amendment will be review town code and remove restrictions to affordable, accessible, and age-friendly housing. Identify options to reduce the cost of housing and to accommodate affordable housing. Review the efficacy of existing dimensional standards of zoning districts. So those are the things, the key points of the comprehensive plan that identify actions the town board will take to
But no mention of manufactured houses.
no, nothing specifically about manufacturing.
So we're still we're still addressing a comprehensive plan.
Correct, but maintaining the prohibition against the New York State's law, in my view, would be contrary to the comprehensive plan.
Terry, how do you feel about this?
But that's me, that's my, I'm not.
I put the focus on you particularly, but I'm sitting here thinking that we got 4 board members right now. And if Terry has the same position that you do, we might be better off holding this conversation until further on down the road. But
It's already allowed in everything but the RLD. And I agree that it's probably in your residential lake district within 500 feet of the water, you're probably not going to have something like this built. So if all we're talking about is putting the RLD in, that gets us to comply with the law. I still am opposed to the scattering these things around town. I don't think it's right.
Well, and I think that was the discussions that were had by the town board already. And I think the reason why we're coming back to ordinance with it was to determine if there's certain design and appearance standards that you'd be wanting to apply to it that would coincide with already existing single family home appearance standards, or if you're willing to add other standards to all single family homes to ensure you're not.
Well, I think we have to do that to remain compliant with the law, right? We can't say manufactured, these are your criteria, and single
Correct.
family homes, these are your criteria.
Yeah,
but-
so the code that went before the board and committees already was blanket allowing manufactured homes with a minimum 720 square feet in all zoning districts in the town of Canandaigua.
And you're
So-
allowed
so-
now except in one.
It's allowed, it's now, well, no. Manufactured homes with a minimum square foot of 1,100 square feet is allowed now.
It also specifically says they have to be a double wide.
Yeah, so there's that whole issue in of itself that we're, you know, I think would be the potential more likely of a lawsuit than anything would be people trying to put single wide
11
homes
versus 7.
in anywhere in the town, you know, but, so that's what went, that blanket code went before. And so again, the discussions were, is there anything that can be modified to prevent this concern that somebody's gonna just back one up onto a slab and drop it there. So, and that's why some examples here, roof pitch. Would you guys be willing to put a minimum roof pitch on
No,
all?
I think if we address, I think aesthetic and architectural standards is something that we can do by the law, but we got to do that to everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
So is it people have a problem with that?
I don't think,
I think it's.
so I want to go through town ordinances and modify that
Universally,
universally. It doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, I can't argue.
Well, you probably wind up with a lot of houses that don't need it, that would have to be
Yeah,
grandfathered.
because we don't already
Maybe
require
non-conforming.
that.
And I do think, to me, the issue is, I'm sorry, did I interrupt? I apologize.
No.
The bigger issue is, to me, whether we want to allow manufactured homes to be 720 square feet. And if we don't want to do that, then we need to raise the square footage of single family homes.
Yeah, but you just changed.
To me, that's the bigger issue, right?
Now, I guess, so, and maybe you guys can help me understand this, but I still don't know everything, the planning board has authority, not you, but. They would still be making the decisions, correct, on if cause they still have to go to the planning board, right?
As
To,
of right now, yeah.
Right now, but as soon,
But-
they might not be.
oh, that's true, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
another,
that's true,
So
that's
let-
another
That's
point.
the problem.
Is that our planning board currently reviews every single family home that comes to the town of Canandaigua. They are the only board that does have a say in aesthetics. They tend to make comments on that at every meeting about the look. They ask to see elevations. They want to see what the house is gonna look like. They make comments on it, they make suggestions. And so if planning board still has authority to review all single family homes, then it would be no different when someone comes through, and they already do when someone comes through with a manufactured home like that one down in Cheshire that came through. They made comments about what it was gonna look like. They asked about what the foundation was gonna be like.
But in fairness to them, they do that on every house. The one that's down in the lake, when I went to the last one, they were talking about where they're gonna plant shrubs.
Landscaping is a big deal to the planning board.
And I get it, I understand that, but
They
well,
don't-
that's the point I was making, except I forgetting that we're actually gonna be
We're discussing.
taking that away.
Let's get back on target here for a second. Let me ask a question. Does anyone have a problem with modular homes, manufactured homes being 720 square feet?
I do,
You want them to be what?
1,100 that they currently. are.
We just made
Double.
that change.
So
I
how,
know,
that being said, how would you go and
we have to flip flop the law we just made.
You gotta
which is-
repeal it,
yeah.
but again, I think that's.
you'd want to repeal that law and change it
Yeah, I
to
mean, yeah, I would personally,
1,100 square feet?
Yeah. to come into compliance altogether.
I think it's
Contrary.
discriminatory and NIMBYism.
How about you, Terry?
We just changed it, 720, I'm
Yeah.
all right with that.
We had,
So you're okay with manufactured
720,
homes being 720?
I'd prefer they be modular, not trailers.
Me too, I'm, if we can figure that out, but we can't.
Okay, so it sounds like
There's two changes.
trailer is not an official word anymore.
No, you know.
It is for me.
I'm in my 80th
So-
year. that's
so-
all I
If you
got.
hook it to a truck and bring it there.
There's two
Just a
changes
second.
being it.
it sounds to me like 720 is okay.
Yeah, so we just changed that.
Yeah.
Dave did.
We had-
Dave voted
we-
against
He's
it.
Discuss that
maybe the
for
only one
months.
so far that
Yeah.
would be against that,
Yeah.
but so 720, it sounds like we can take that away from the conversation. That's it.
Yeah.
Now you,
Well, there were two things really. It's including this in the RLD and making that change from 11 down to 720. There are two things that work here, not just
Right,
including it, including manufactured homes in the allowed in the RLD. It's also making that change universally, that going from 11 to 720 and any single family.
and the third thing is, we're taking the planning board away from looking at all this.
Well, now that we're in this discussion, that discussion we have with Greg saying, the planning board looks at every house because of his problem with just moving the
Right,
location, the problem you had with the house you're building. You know, to me, that should be an administrative function. I think that that could be incorporated into our code, that if you're gonna move it 50 feet and it still complies with everything that was agreed upon, then that's an administrative
I
function.
can't agree with that more.
And, you know, but taking away completely some of the stuff I just hearing here today, I don't know whether we should.
I'd like to see, at least the planning board look at everything that comes through the town, because I think they've done a great job so far. Why do we want to remove that? But in terms of moving it, a house plan 6 feet over this way,
Yeah.
to delay a month or two is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is. That has to change.
Yes.
But that
Now,
can be
think
done
about it.
without all this.
When you make, compare stick-built, single-family homes versus what this could potentially come in, you're gonna be making a decision based on a very small itty-bitty percentage on how we administratively handle single-family homes, which was those initial discussions last year was how do we make these processes much better and efficient for single-family stick-built homes. So now we'd be going back to switching that for a tiny little itty bitty percentage of what may or may not occur.
I still think I would like to see any residential facility in Canandaigua go by the planning board. Flat out. I mean, just from attending several planning board meetings where they're like, they really nitpick, and I think that's good. I don't want to keep going back over and over some ridiculous administrative thing that we've put on.
So we got the 720. I think we're all in agreement. Well, let me say this, the majority are in agreement.
It's gonna pass.
The majority are in agreement with going to 720. The question now becomes, do we want to include manufactured homes in the RLD?
You have to. You'd be, because if we change it to 720, you'd be creating a code that is in direct violation of the law, because you're still keeping that exclusion. You're taking an action on a code without fully abiding by the law.
Well, if we don't change it and we keep them at 1100, we're still in contradiction to the law.
Correct.
So we got to change it to 720 regardless.
You do. And so when you do that, then you have to include the RLD because you're taking that action, which then would be contrary to the law because you're still excluding it from the RLD.
Well, the alternative is we leave it as is. And that's what
And
David's
then
advocating
somebody
for.
else will sue you. I mean,
Yeah,
But we haven't been sued so far.
well, I think of the village of Pittsburgh. Full of NIMBYs and the legal expenses, right?
I love that word now. I'm gonna use that.
Well, the legal expenses that they incur over penny ante stuff like this that are exceptions.
That's a village of
So-
Pittsburgh then. We don't have.
Well,
any
we're
suits like
sounding
that.
like the village of
Correct.
Pittsburgh.
Well, that's in your opinion.
Now,
Okay.
one thing to keep in mind is, and I know there likely is, other than legal fees, there's no like monetary punitive damages that I think would come from this. It would just be, you have to do this. But without going into details of our insurance, not being an executive session, just a filing of a lawsuit could significantly increase our insurance amounts that we already have seen a significant increase in. So there is there is a financial burden.
Potential financial.
Potential financial burden, but just like a potential issue with a mobile home going up in a way that you won't like it. So we're talking about, in both situations, we're talking about potentials.
We make no
We
accommodation
can
for lot
landscape
size.
it.
Yeah. We make no accommodation for lot size in any of these manufactured homes, right? Do we? I mean, if the lot size in that district is the lot size, it stays that.
So,
Yeah.
from the zoning, our planning and zoning, a manufactured home is a single family home. It just has to follow all the same rules that the single family homes do. We already look at it that way. So
we're
we do
not-
have some rules about lot size and arrangement, but it has to do more with the zoning district and setbacks and stuff. Can the house fit on the lot? That's really what we
Right,
look at.
but there's no variances that we're issuing for smaller lots for manufactured homes.
We don't, they're not, unless they're getting a subdivision or a lot line
That's different.
adjustment, they're not
That's different.
changing the lot
That's
to be
different.
smaller.
And you wouldn't be issuing a variance for a manufactured home, you'd be issuing it
For
for.
the
a
lot.
A lot, I understand
In a
that,
single
but
family dwelling.
so are we issuing those for people that wanna put a manufactured home on there?
I don't know, I don't have
Well,
that.
that to me is a very important issue.
You ever see any, Chad?
For me?
It's a zoning, on the zoning board. You ever see that? No, it's a non-issue.
I mean,
I've never
people
heard
do
of
come
it.
in,
Can't answer the question.
well, I don't pay attention to
No, I
whether
know
it's
that,
a
I'm not
manufactured home or
accusing you, I'm
not.
just saying that
But
we don't
that's
know
my
if it
point is,
exists.
I don't actually care. I care if they're trying to put the house too close to the side of the lot because of a setback issue, or they want it to be too tall that from what's allowed. Or, something like that, not which type of house is going on, just what is it that they're seeking a variance for? It's usually a setback or something, but no, I can't tell you how many of those were manufactured homes.
The only one I can think of was there was one down in, I'd say downtown Cheshire.
Downtown.
Where. Y'all know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
I do.
It's the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, some
Um,
of those lots are skinny.
Was
and
because
little.
it was a small, skinny, very large lot that just shot back shotgun style. They tore down an existing home, they wanted to place a manufactured, and so they had a pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah, that one
It
was
wasn't a
skinny.
variance, it was just, they did get a variance for lot setback or side setback. But just because they wanted to center the house, whereas before the house was 2 feet from the property line, they wanted to center it. So instead of 2 feet from the property line, they were like 10 and 10 or something.
So making it more appropriate.
Yeah, when
That's
they tore the house down, they were trying to make it fit better than the previous house did, and they did, I mean,
They did. It looks great.
it's better.
That's the only variance that I can remember in my time.
And I think that would have been true no matter what type of house they put there, because like he said, the lot is skinny and long, it's awkward.
Where was this?
Cheshire,
Cheshire. Is there any way we could say we prefer?
if anyone watches the
modular
videos,
home
I
rather
think they
than
understand that.
Trailer.
Well,
Those are in air quotes.
trailer or mobile home isn't in the vernacular.
Manufactured home.
Well, it's still listed in this, thing from the state here. Do use the word.
No, we use manufactured or modular.
Yeah, but then-
Our official words,
Yeah, now, but it says that it's morphed into that,
but
so.
we know what
They
they
still
really
use it.
mean.
Well, let me.
Well, something,
If we changed the code so that we had 720 square feet is the minimum size for manufactured homes. And if we included the RL, we allowed them to do that in the RLD. Would you vote in favor of that, Terry?
yeah. I have no problem with it in the RLD because I agree it's probably not gonna happen. Probability is rather low. In 720, go from 11 down to 720. I don't know if this is gonna proliferate this kind of thing around the town or not, and I don't
That's my
like
fear.
that happening, that the town does have a certain look and whatever our comprehensive plan says, the spirit of the comprehensive plan is that, we like the way that our town is and we want to preserve that. Talks about the rural atmosphere and all those kind of things. So, I don't want to create some piece of code that changes that spirit that runs through that comprehensive plan. So
Let me ask the question a different way. Would you want to go back and change the size of single family homes to
no, I
1,000
don't
foot?
think we should.
So then,
There are.
that being said, we have to go to 720
Well,
for
you have to.
manufactured homes, right?
What makes the belief, and I don't know this, I don't know.
Let me keep going here, John. So now if we go and modify it to 720, The only issue then is whether we're gonna include it in the, allow that in the RLD.
Yeah, the RLD, I mean, that's,
It's not gonna
as
happen.
I said, I don't know that. Unless there's somebody that's got a big chunk of land and wants to start subdividing it and building,
So then,
somebody's got like 60 acres or so.
so then it sounds to me as if we ought to move forward with modifying the language and submitting it to the board for approval. The question then is, do we want to bring that modified language back to the ordinance committee one more time for review and consideration?
Well, I don't know what, we wouldn't be modifying anything from the previous one. If
Yes,
there's no,
because the previous one did not modify manufactured homes to be less than 1,100 feet.
Yes, it did.
Did it?
yes,
It's a
took
deep,
care of it.
only thing that I would recommend
Okay.
is instead of it calls out single wides. Or did we just?
I think we
remove it?
just
we removed
removed
it,
the
manufactured.
sentence that said it has to be a
So
double
then it
wide,
has
so it
to
just
be-
kind of eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so either way, it'd have to be something.
so it'd be the
Yes.
same law that you guys looked at, or the same code proposal. That was already looked at. Unless there's any, like I said, the only difference would be if there's any design and appearance standards, which looks like you don't wanna.
I do,
Apply that across the board.
I do, I mean, I would, right.
What would you
I
design standard would you modify?
I don't, I mean, I would like to have the standards like what Jared showed us, that's acceptable to me, but we'd have to put those standards across stick builts as well, so, I mean, that's a heavy lift. And maybe we don't want to do that.
Yeah, really get into architectural design, I mean, that could be
That's a
it
nightmare.
could take years.
I mean, if we throw this back at the planning board, when they come to, with what they want to put there, they can apply aesthetic and architectural standards, can they not?
No,
Why can't they?
No,
they're not in code.
Because it's not in code. They talk about it, but they can't enforce it.
They can suggest that I paint my house green. I can go and paint my house blue and they can't say.
Yep.
They can suggest
But
I
we can tell-
rotate it, they
Yeah,
can suggest.
So we can tell them where to plant a shrub.
You can't do that either.
No,
They do, yeah, they make those
Shoreline, I
strong
think, is the only-
suggestions.
Well, I was on the shoreline, was the
Site
big debate
plans
came up,
and-
so maybe that's different, but I can tell you, they were saying, you're planting this here.
I will tell you that Chris would advise on what you can and can't tell them to do, you can suggest. It's maybe half the time they go along with it. And the enforcement is the guidelines. And
Which that's
view
another conversation. I
shed,
think.
shoreline,
Yeah.
all that is guidelines and you get 50-50
I
compliance.
think
So
people-
other municipalities, I mean, this is in here, so other municipalities must have aesthetic and architectural standards.
yes.
So why
And
don't
it's
we,
a giant, even though we were in, because I came from a municipality.
so,
So for instance, City of Geneva, we had it in the City of Geneva. It was restricted to the historical district, and I will tell you, they have faced more litigation than anything in the world, to the point of we have people painting window frames pink. Because it dictates what color the house can be painted, but not the window frames. And it is turned into a back and forth. Every day.
They're a nightmare.
Well,
If you wanted
let's
to put a deck on your house, your railing has to be X, Y, Z.
let's try to wrap up this conversation on the manufactured homes. We're gonna say something?
I was just gonna say what John said. The only thing that's gonna come from this is resubmitting what we already sent back.
Yeah.
To this group.
Right.
I mean, there's no real change in it.
Yeah, and the question I was gonna ask before is what makes everybody think that this would be more more would come about it for a single wide versus double wide. I don't know what the significant costs differences are. So in the thought process, just that these are, if we pass this ordinance or this code, that they could start popping up all over town. I guess what's the difference as of right now? Because we do allow it in the double wide, just not the single wide. And if they're not popping up all over town now, what would make it be so just by changing the square footage to 720?
Affordability.
I mean, I get that, but how much, what is that cost difference?
I don't, I don't
Cost
think,
about 80,000. And then I can.
80? Oh, okay, that's why I'm asking, that is a lot, that's significant.
That's why people
But we don't
do
know
it.
what we don't know, that's the problem. I mean, when we create something, there's all kinds of unintended consequences, that's where I'm from.
How many tiny homes have popped up?
Well, they can't be under 720.
Yeah,
Pardon?
They can't be under
Yeah, that's
720.
fine.
To me, that's a tiny home.
It is.
Okay, and a seven
We
twenty
just changed
trailer
it
is
a month and a
a
half ago.
mobile home is,
yeah, it
but
hasn't been very long.
I think we're worried about exceptions. And
I'm worried
All
about,
about.
So I think we should kind of wrap this conversation up by saying, let's bring that code back to the board. Have a conversation about it and let the board decide.
well, I think this board or this group, whatever we are, should make a recommendation, or at least. You've got,
We can, sure.
yeah,
So we need a motion. Do we need a motion to do it?
yes,
you guys are.
Well, you're on the board too. But you're on the board, you're on the ordinance committee, so you can do whatever you
The
like.
three on the ordinance committee are one, two, are you on the ordinance?
Yes.
committee? So there's four of us. So we have a quorum. And we'd have to go and, do we want to recommend this to the?
I would say so, rather than, and then let the board either ratify what this group's recommendation is or not.
The board can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
One more time, though, is there any way that we can say something like, we prefer?
Wicked,
I
Gary.
mean, is that?
Not code.
Or a pamphlet, handing out to every new.
Or you could add a line,
Family home guidelines.
I'm a little worried about, I prefer.
add a guideline,
Suggested.
I mean, we have guidelines. So send it back to the board. Send it back.
I think we should send it back to the town board too for consideration. So, but is that a motion, Terry?
Yes.
Tom, you want a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I've been there before.
So the motion was to recommend,
Send it back.
just submitting it or recommend approving it
Oh, yeah.
from the
that's-
town board, yeah, okay.
That's what it was.
That's what I thought, that's what I thought the
Yeah,
motion
all right.
was, yeah.
Well,
Can be for April. It's already ready. Can add it.
I'll let you
Haven't
guys
done the
figure that out.
agenda
yeah,
Let's,
we'll
let's,
talk about that.
you're not gonna be here.
I won't be here. Maybe
Okay.
probably remote.
So one of the things I wanted to do, just indulge us for 5 minutes and we'll get out of here, was put some things on future agendas, or at least make a list like we had before of things that needed to be on future agendas. And we learned today that ADUs need to be on a future agenda. Form-based code needs to be on the June agenda. Soil erosion and sedimentation control permit requirements. Who suggested that? Mike?
That was my staff, my
Okay,
team.
so we need to talk about that at a future meeting. And ridgeline and shoreline guidelines, I think we need to talk about that at a future meeting, even though we're gonna have it at multiple boards, but there might be some things there that we want to be code. And other things that we may still want to be suggestions.
And I would say, John, ADUs, if you agree to set back for the June agenda, I think in May, we can probably. Well, or put it on May to finish getting through,
Yes,
and then to come back with a new proposed code based on the discussions for June.
okay.
What kind of issues are we having with short-term rental laws? If things going okay? Do we need to revisit that is what I'm thinking.
I would recommend we revisit it. We started talking about some stuff in my office. Kristen Smith does most of the management on that, so she hears when there's things that kind of don't make sense, so she's got a list going. Some of them, it has to do with how we handle people who would like to rent a room. Like, a lot of people have a finished basement, but it doesn't have a kitchen. So it's more like a hotel room kind of style. There are people who'd like to rent those out. Our short-term rental law doesn't include those. By definition, it's dwelling units, complete whole dwelling units. So we don't know what to do with those people. So for lack of a better process, we send them through special use permit with the planning board and call it a tourist home, which is what the town calls a bed and breakfast, which rents rooms out. Because we don't know how else to process them. The alternative is no, you can't do that. So we'd like to figure out what the board would like us to do with those, and do we want to include them in the short-term rentals definition or not?
We're not denying it short term, we're not denying special use permits, I'm gonna guess.
So far, I think 2 have gone to the planning board and they approved both of them. But then we still can't technically really give them a short-term rental permit because they're not really a short-term rental. But we are putting them through that so we can report when, you know, how.
So it sounds like we should at least just have a discussion about that.
That's the biggest example.
Summary, put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to, but I don't
Yeah.
know if we're
What do you
ready
call it?
yet.
Okay,
STRs.
short-term rental.
Short-term rental, it's
So yes, it
more,
should
more
go
the bed
on
and
the-
breakfast thing where there's no.
Should we just include renting a room as a short-term
That's not the
rental?
only thing, but yes.
But I
That's a
think,
big one, though,
check
yeah.
what the city does. I think they treat them.
So we're saying B and Bs as a short term, should be treated as a short
That's a
term.
different question.
Don't say
Let
bed and
me just run through these lists real quick here and tell us whether we need to address it or whether it's already been addressed. We have Uniform Code and Energy Code, Uniform Code, Chapter 92.
completed, you'll see another round.
Okay, so it's off this list. ADUs, we just talked about. Building height in the RLD,
I don't think it's an issue.
okay, take it off the list. Sandy Beach zoning considerations,
I don't know what that was.
I'll take that off the list.
That might have been an.
They're all
older list.
non-compliant.
Sidewalk maintenance,
We should, I think we should put that on the list.
okay, that's on the list. Form-based code, we just talked about. Invasive species restriction,
Yes, there are some, like Victor, has it in code that you cannot plant invasive species. We don't. But when someone comes through with a new single-family home, the Environmental Conservation Board and the Planning Board always reminds them, please don't plant invasive.
so we probably ought to keep it on the list. Code of ethics. No, I don't think so either.
I think Jared put that on there way back when.
Surety and performance bonds for new construction,
It's the payola we got.
no, what was that again?
I think the
Surety and
process
performance
works.
bonds for new construction,
I think the process works.
okay, take it off. Special use permits for R130,
But
There
for
you go.
what?
the list. Stormwater discharge,
No, we should be good on that.
take it off the list. Homeowners Association sidewalks and trails. Nothing off the list.
Probably had to do with who was.
Cannabis
responsible.
town code, we addressed that already, right? No need to bring that up.
Until someone complains. and
Yeah,
then-
operating permits for rentals and fee structure for rental permit, we've done
I
that.
think we're doing it, yeah.
Our dealership form based.
That one's different, actually. That was one that was brought up last year early by Doug before he left, as far as we're seeing a lot more complaints with long-term rentals.
Are we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're doing at least 2 a week. And to go through and start a permitting process or a licensing.
For long-term
process
rentals?
For long-term.
Like residential.
Yeah. So for instance, in the city of Geneva, we had 3 units and above had to be licensed.
So it would be a permitting process. Similar to
Long-term
short-term
rentals.
rental, but.
All right, so I'll put that on the agenda. Farm housing, we did that, and got that done with, right? Short-term rental, we did, we got that with. Incentive zoning, we need to touch that at all?
I think it was just, I think there was a discussion that the process is difficult to understand in our code.
And I'm
I
gonna
think
take
that
that
was a Chris Nadler thing.
Accessory structures in the RLD, we've done. Site design criteria,
It's a process right
It's
now.
coming. We just don't have a, well, I mean, hopefully by
okay.
May.
I just emailed. Brian.
First responder exemptions, we did that, right? We know that.
There was some discussion.
That's gotta change again.
So you
I
went,
thought New York State.
Because it, we cannot, we amended it to include anybody who lives in the town but works for any ambulance or fire department in the county But when I read through New York State, I asked, went back to Nadler, I said that. New York State says specifically they have to be in the town, live in the town and work in the town. Or it's gotta be serviced by the town, mutual aid potentially, but anyway, so we have to change that.
Okay, I'll leave it on the.
So you
agenda.
don't have to do it until before next tax season.
Well, we'll leave
So
it on
you
the
think
agenda.
Adam Palumbo, who lives in the town but works in the city, we're not gonna give him?
No, he's good because the city responds to the town.
You're right, you're right.
But no, because he's paid.
Oh, that's true.
He's paid, yeah, you're
He's
right.
paid, yeah.
Open fire burning, is that an issue?
That's Steve.
My neighbor.
Probably.
Take it off the
I
garage,
think that was the Buffalo Farm.
garage code, we don't need to worry about that at all.
That was how that came up.
Bisected right away, we
We
done.
did, yeah.
Finally.
Floodplain ordinance,
That's fine.
We can take that off for now.
okay. And food sales at park events, special use wine, beer sales,
Did
That was talking about.
that's done.
Yeah, I think that was discussed and said not to move forward with it. That was allowing
Okay.
alcoholic sales at
Okay,
parks.
Oh,
manufactured homes, we just decided it's going back before the board. And I'm gonna put ridgeline and shoreline guidelines on the
And then would this be appropriate for this committee or not? The, starting to discuss, what do they call it, the fee payments? What,
like our
the
fee schedule?
chargebacks.
Oh, yes, that is-
Chargebacks.
yeah, I think would be good.
Currently, like, so if anybody, if a person on a very has a very simple plan that doesn't need MRB or doesn't need the town attorney comes to planning board with it, they get charged attorney and town engineer fees, just for being present.
Because we contract with MRB to provide these services to the town and we end up charging them back, and I am constantly getting complaints, and that's what I wanna know, are there some of these charges that the town can just eat and not have to push them back
Yeah.
unless there's like a specific review or
Or
something?
come up with some other way to where the people who don't need town engineer, town attorney are not getting charged for those.
Right,
Well,
well, we can't stop the charges from coming from MRB, but
That's-
we,
How to
So
disperse
if
it.
MRB's
I don't
at a
have-
planning board meeting and somebody has a question,
This is a PRC.
then
isn't it?
then they get charged.
no, not if someone goes and has a question. If someone is on a planning board agenda for their project, they will get a charge.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
I wanna build a single family house, and so I'm gonna get charged by MRB for that.
Yes, because
And,
they're
yeah.
preparing some of the documents that have to do with your approval at the planning
Yeah, I
board.
think
So
we should revisit.
I
that.
have been sending those back. We always have,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's just, everybody complains about it almost every single
So
time.
we're gonna put chargeback process on the list of agenda
Sure,
items.
yeah,
So why should I pay for somebody else that wants to do something?
that's the question, isn't it?
Well, I don't think I should.
Well, is this,
Some things are built into our fees. That was another suggestion, is perhaps there's a different way so that the town doesn't have to pay for all of it.
Well, yeah.
But we could maybe change the way our fee schedule is to perhaps accommodate some of that and avoid having to do it as a chargeback for certain cases.
is it a flat fee or is it based on the time they spend on the PRC?
MRB charges us per 15 minutes. It's all based on how much time they spend doing whatever it is they're doing
So-
for anything they do for the
So
town.
what you're saying is hide it from me.
yes.
So like, for instance, if
Really?
you go for a single family home code and MRB doesn't review anything, but they write the resolution for the planning board, it's a half hour at time and could be
Yeah.
$120.
Did we say that sidewalk maintenance should
Pay
be
you
on it?
more to
Yes,
do it.
yes, we did. We gotta figure out something with that because somebody's buying.
Well,
Couldn't ask.
Put the sidewalk
again,
on,
Not to be a
North Road.
smart ass,
Yeah.
but couldn't Kim write that instead of MRB? In prep.
We
for
have
the-
discussed potentially changing our process for that. Right now, MRB does all of the resolutions for all planning board meetings. And yeah, I think
It's pretty
we could
boiler.
do some stuff, but we'd have to discuss how that works, because they do everything, they send it all, they automatically do it, but. But yeah, we could change that, but I think it's all based on our contract with MRB, so it would be discussing how that changes. That's not up to me.
She do that to Kim so she can
I'm gonna do that, yeah. Okay, anything else we need to talk about today? And our next meeting is on the May fifth.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
Mike's bringing the margaritas.
okay.
Is John gonna be out of town?
I won't.
Well, we had
Thank
changed
you,
that,
everyone.
put that back on the list about not giving alcohol at parties then.
This isn't a party.
We'll host it in Butler Road.
That's a park.
I know.